Okay, sorry for the delay. I'm trying to do some different things. Not working out for me as well as I would hope. Things are a little wacky on the software side of things. I'm trying to add Instagram to my live feed. So and Rumble wasn't playing nice, and none of them play nice. When you're trying to multi broadcast to all of them at once, it's a nightmare, and I can't really test it. I have to go live to do it, so it's frustrating, but it is what it is. But I thought I'd just give you a little quick update. It gives me a chance to test it, plus just let you know what's happening. If there's any threat for storms, that kind of stuff, that's going to be giving you some fits out there in the weather world. So there you go. All right, let's take a look here what we got for you. Let's pull this one up here first. So here is a look at the radar view across the state. A reminder that we are under a tornado watch here across a good area of central and northeast Oklahoma. This is the area that you see in yellow on the map, all these little counties that are colored in yellow. Temperatures out there in the 70s and 80s in the south and east, into the 60s and 50s by the time you get up here to northwest Oklahoma, up around the Alva area in Woodward. So that is behind the cold front that is coming our way and helping to trigger off these showers and storms. So that's the difference. Okay, so let's take a look here. We'll just kind of start you up here to the north. Pretty good little thunderstorm around the north of Bartlesville area, Coffeyville. Got a severe thunderstorm warning on it. Typical stuff, wind and hail. This will stretch back into Ralston, Pawhuska, Pawnee, Morrison, Stillwater, knocking on your door, Mulhall, and up toward Cashin. That extends back from there, Okarche, Calumet. Then you got a little shower over here at Minko, one around Eakley, Snyder, Roosevelt. That's it. So these are good rainmakers, really. So they're borderline severe at times, mostly under the severe category. We only have one group of warnings here in the central Oklahoma. That's in the northern parts, from around Orlando northward. So these right here are for thunderstorms that are moving to the kind of a east-northeast fashion, about 43 miles per hour. Hail size up to around 1.25 inches, and wind gusts up to around 60 miles per hour in the warning. So again, that's your typical standard stuff on a marginally severe thunderstorm. Now, I will tell you, for a while there around Orlando, they had some pretty good wind out of this. This was an overturned tractor trailer on I-35 at one point. This occurred, let's see, does it say the time on here? Yeah, about an hour ago. Over here on the west side, a wind gust up around 80 miles per hour. That's at 7:28 officially. West from there, we had a little bit of hail, 1.8 inches in diameter, and over here, 1.5. So about golf ball size hail, and winds up around 80 miles per hour. So that's a pretty good thunderstorm up around the Orlando area about half an hour to an hour ago. Now that severity has come down quite a bit, but needless to say, that's the thunderstorm that's left over going through Morrison and Pawnee. Now, there's another thing you need to look at. So we will look at this little fine line, this little line right here, this blue line. You see that? That is the actual cold front. All right, so that is undercutting the thunderstorms. If you remember, I talked to you about that at lunchtime today, how we would have these thunderstorms that form along the front in a linear fashion would get undercut by the cold front, and that would kick or kill the low-level circulation for any storm that tried to produce a tornado. So anytime you gotta get a gust front, a gust out, or the actual cold front, either way will work. It cuts off the inflow and it prevents tornado genesis. So that's what we're going on right now, which is good news. Now, if you look here on this northern or the southern fringe here around Cashin, it's right along the boundary down here, right along 74, the county line, Oklahoma County line, just northwest of Edmond, Piedmont, Deer Creek area. So if this were to stay south of that boundary, it might have a chance to do something, but until that happens, it would not. But it's close. It's right now. It's in a safe environment. We'll see if anything changes with that. Back out here to the west, again, nothing out here tornadic or anything even close. Matter of fact, they're struggling just to be some strong thunderstorms, much less severe. So really, the only severe stuff is up here to our north. Now, this one in Pawnee is a little ahead of the line for the inflow, so it might try to get stronger as it goes to this little environment right here around Hominy, Winona, Barnesdale, Pawhuska, Merrimack. So that's kind of a favored region there. Some weaker showers and thunderstorms have developed in around the Tulsa area, Claremore, Oologah. That's about it. So as you can see, it's not a overly huge, impressive event right now, despite all the excitement about it earlier today and yesterday. So let's see, the tornado watch is set to expire at 9 o'clock. And because of that, and the fact that storms will still be in the area, we're going to see what they do. They may create another one and just extend it a little bit longer, like maybe a little small coverage area, a little baby watch. Because the problem is, if they were to let it expire, not produce not create another one, and then one of these storms happens to produce a tornado, around 10 o'clock at night, well, obviously that's a problem, right? Now they sometimes do handle these things as if it's going to be a one-off, then they might leave the watch completely out of it and just cover it with a storm, severe storm warning with wording that could produce a tornado, or they'll change it to an actual tornado warning and not just put a watch over a whole blanket area. So there's a lot of different ways they can go, and they're going to figure that out over the next half hour. They got some time to think about it and look at the trends of the storms. And right now, again, the trends of these storms have been pretty mediocre, when it comes to a severe weather event here in Oklahoma. But that's fine. 'Tis the time of the year. We really don't have to have anything too crazy. Okay, so that's a big look at the radar view across the state. Let me look at some of the velocity data here real quick. And I'll zip through here. I have velocity data on the right, reflectivity on the left. Again, that one coming into Guthrie is the only one that even has my eye at all at this point. Probability of a tornado, the algorithms that kick in there to try to figure out if it's going to do something or not, is on the low end of 22%. That's actually probably one of the higher numbers I've seen all evening. Let's see here. But it does have a little bit of wind from Seward here. This little bright spot here is up around 50 plus miles per hour, but again, that's not a big deal. And up here in north of Stillwater, again, nothing up here just yet. So one of those deals we're watching. Now you see this little blue circle. This is from the Storm Prediction Center. It's the mesoscale discussion, which talks about the fact that this would be the most favored area for a couple of storms that might try to produce a tornado here in this little sweet spot between Tulsa and Stillwater over the next couple of hours. They didn't highlight any other areas, and there has not been a tornado warning across the state, nor has there been one in the southern or southeastern Kansas either. There's been a few thunderstorm warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, but nothing like that. So that's all good news. But now if you look at the Warn-On forecast, this is our high resolution data short term. It shows you where it thinks the best probabilities are updrafts that spin in the atmosphere that could produce a tornado. And if you do look, it does favor this little spot like we talked about up here across north central Oklahoma, right around the Stillwater area, points to the north and west, as a little area that might do some fun stuff, but it's pretty weak. I mean, it's not totally off the scale crazy, but if you go through time, all the way up through midnight, it's going to take that track here around the Tulsa area and in northeast Oklahoma. So the model on the short run at least favors this part of the state between now through midnight for any storm that's going to rotate enough to even potentially try to produce a tornado. Doesn't mean it will. It's not guaranteed. It just means that's where your most likely stronger thunderstorms are going to be. I can pull up a few things. We can look at a couple things here. This is the latest HER model. You can see how it kind of keeps that squall line developing here over central Oklahoma, Oklahoma City, all the way back down to Lawton. This is at 10 o'clock here this evening. We'll go to the 11 o'clock through Tulsa, again through Oklahoma City, starting to wind down. There's midnight here now, moving into southern Oklahoma, and it continues up north and east for Tulsa to Muskogee, into northwest Arkansas here by 1 o'clock in the morning. Pretty good little line of storms, so that's common, not unusual. Move that over a little bit. All right, then it moves on down to the south, and then that's all she wrote. Let's see, out of the state, looks like about around 6 o'clock in the morning down here in far southeast Oklahoma. So if you're watching from Arkansas and Texas, you're like, what about me? They're pretty lame. They're going to be pretty weak. You get some good rain out of it, which you need. We all need some rain, so that's the good news. If you look at the severe weather reports so far this evening, blue is for significant wind, green is for hail. So there's a little blue spot up here in the southeastern Kansas. These little guys up here are all in the little blue area for reports of severe storms that have had some type of magnitude able to be reported, either from the mesonet or somebody who witnessed it. This is a 63 mile per hour wind gust. Your Tonkawa, for example, over here in Enid, there was a 59. West of there, a 65. And there's a 58. O'Keene, we got a wind over here. See what that one says, 65. Up around Fairview earlier this afternoon, there's a 66 and a 63 and a 76. So 76 mile per hour winds. That was earlier, like 4:30, something like that, this afternoon. So that's a pretty good strong thunderstorm that kicked in some air aloft. Then way out here in western Oklahoma, there's another pretty good one there, up around 70 north of Elk City. But we haven't had anything like that around, the metro area or southwest Oklahoma. We had that one little spot around O'Keene. Let's see if that shows up here. Orlando, I should say. There we go. There's a 70 there, and that 80 didn't show up on here. Interesting enough. I wonder why. Should have been this one. There it is, 80. Okay, I just didn't click the right button. So there you go, 80 miles per hour. So that's the strongest wind we've had, and that came in about 7:30. So a little bit, about an hour ago at this point. Okay, so those are our severe weather reports that we've had from this storm system. So, like I said, very generic, very typical. It's nothing that got me excited today, as you notice when I do my lives. Let's see here. Here's a look at the low-level rotation tracks from these thunderstorms. Kind of shows you where you have at least some rotation to keep those storms going on the strong side. And they've been anchored here in this little section from just north and west of the metro up here into northeast Oklahoma. If we were to have tornadoes, that would be little tracks that would be much brighter and longer, that would streak within this little embedded line. We can track them, historically. Let me see here. A couple of things I can show you. Oh, this is good. If we do look at the environment, and this environment is based off of, let's see here. Yeah. Okay. This is the environment that's based off of prior climatology. In other words, they look at similar environments and what happened in those environments. In other words, if it had a tornado, where did it occur, what was the strength, and it puts them all in a database. All right, and then you can click like any spot, and it'll tell you, okay, the environment given historical precedents, and I can look at that. We can do it like this. I can show you a map. So there you go. There's a map of tornadoes you see there on the screen. These are all little tracks of tornadoes. It gives you a table. In other words, it prints out how many were F0s, F5s, or F1s rather, all up to F5s. And in this environment, there were nothing that was greater than an F2. All of them are F1 or less. They were mostly all F0s. Again, that's the smallest, weakest one. But we look at the parameters currently that we are ingesting in the atmosphere. So our significant tornado parameter, it does check the box here, the whisker plot. This one here, SCP, it barely checks the box on the outskirt there. The CAPE is in there, effective shear is in there, helicity is in there, and the LCL, in other words, the cloud base, it barely checks the box. The cloud base is a little high tonight. Again, that's because the storm's a little elevated earlier this afternoon when they developed. They're not quite ground scraping level to ingest low-level vorticity. But anyway, so what this shows you is that the atmosphere does indicate at least a few ingredients that we could potentially get a tornado out of this. It's not screamingly crazy. And if we do get one, it says it's probably going to be on the light side, and light being the lowest category that we have. Let's see. For the photograph, nice little turning with height. So it's, it's got some shear in the atmosphere that can produce that kind of stuff. If you look at the satellite viewpoint, there is our classic thunderstorm cloud tops. The brighter the red and darker the red that shows up in here is where the stronger and taller the thunderstorms are. You can see as they get, though, past that little sweet spot here, just north of Metro, down in southwest Oklahoma, they're still struggling to get going. Now, they eventually will with time, but this is very, very slow. It's not like May, or June, where things erupt and they form really strong, really fast, all that kind of stuff. Again, here is the yellow area, the outline of the existing tornado watch. That covers Tulsa and Oklahoma City metro areas, points north, south, east, west. All right, let me think. Anything else on here I want to show you? We can do this one. So this is the Oklahoma Mesonet. And I talked about the cold front, right? So if you look here, we'll draw a line for you. But we're talking about let's go like this. So the front is snaking in about like so. All right, so this is our cold front. This cold front's moving quickly. All right, so that's what's helping trigger off those showers and storms. The dry line that was out there here in southwest Oklahoma pretty much got overtaken by the cold front. So what's left of it is kind of basically in this area. And so the tail end of it's going to get washed out and meshed with the front. But with this movement of the front, the position that's moving from northwest to southeast, remember these storms themselves are moving southwest to northeast. So do the math, do the vectors, do the trigonometry. You're going to have the wind from the north undercut those storms as they ride from southwest to northeast. And again, that will try to cut off the inflow of these updrafts when that happens. And that should help to keep the storms at a behaving level for the most part. So it would be like a deal where you maybe get an isolated tornado would try to develop if conditions were just right, and it's a very short window to do so. Let me think here. These are some of the older graphics from earlier today from the National Weather Service, where they had the threat for severe weather kind of anchored here over about where it is now, and then points north and east toward Tulsa, and then lighter probabilities in the slight risk south of that region. If we look at the tornado, again, it kind of favored this region, which I talked about at lunch today. When I gave you that forecast update, that was based off the newest data that I saw right before lunch. These guys updated it then around 3:30 this afternoon. Before, they had this thing over here, so they didn't adjust it until after 3:30, but I already had it adjusted for noon. And it didn't really matter because we still didn't get anything around here. That's just where the best ingredients were for something to happen. We'll kind of let you know, though, for Saturday and Sunday, we're expecting more showers and thunderstorms and a lot of rainfall. I didn't get a bit of a flooding threat, believe it or not, after being in a drought for over a month. The severe weather risk may return as early as Sunday. Right now, the discussion is for large hail and damaging winds as the main storm hazards. Let's see here. This was the severe weather mesoscale discussion from the Storm Prediction Center. And at that point, I mentioned this earlier, that the tornado threat may increase during the next few hours ahead of the more intense line segment over north central Oklahoma. And they mentioned the fact you've got some decent shear, some decent cape for this time of the year and this time of the night. It is plausible that a sustained swath of severe wind damage is capable of producing a couple of tornadoes may evolve from this portion of the line. So that may affect the greater Tulsa metro area in a few hours. So in other words, the language, like I mentioned earlier today at noon, is not overly strong. It's very muted, which is fine. The language usually goes up when the confidence level goes up, and when the parameters that they see to work with go up and those things go crazy, then the wording gets much more dire or much more strong, right? That's just human nature. So this was kind of a low-end threshold event, and it still seems to continue to be so, which is good news. All right, let's take a look, see if anything's changed on the radar since we jumped in a minute ago. Look at those two favorite areas that I was checking out. The one now moving around Guthrie, still behind the gust front, which is down here. So this is all elevated, so no threat for tornado at that point. Like we said, movements to the northeast with this one. Let's see here. And that's not even a severe thunderstorm anymore at this point. It's just a strong storm. So that's not even in the severe category. But there's your time of arrival. Guthrie pretty much now, but otherwise Meridian, Langston, Coyle, and Perkins, Stillwater up to about now through 9 o'clock. Let's see. These ones down here intensified finally. Let's see. One around Fort Cobb. That'll be heading up toward Gracemont and Minko to now at 9:20, Union City 9:25, Tuttle at 9:30. Okay, and then finally let's go to this guy up here. This is our other severe thunderstorm around Blackburn. So that'll be over Hominy, Barnsdall, Evant, Ochalata, and Ramona over the next 30 to 45 minutes between now through about 9:20. Keep in mind, you can track all these storms on your own. You don't have to wait for me to come on here and do a live cut-in. You can just pull up my weather app. It's called AT's Weather to Go. It is free on Apple and Google Play. And it will track these storms. It'll give you times of arrival. And if you didn't know that was there, then you're not using the app to its fullest ability. Shame, shame. Tisk, tisk. It is free, and it is all there for your fingering, perusing. Let's see. Watching. Development. All right. Let's go to discussion of the watch. Let's see. So a new watch, when this one expires, so they're going to extend this watch from 9 to 11. They decided to do that. Instead of just letting it expire at 9, they're going to extend it to 11 so they don't have to do anything. They can let it ride. And if things still look like there might be a potential for a storm, then they can issue a new one that's much smaller and covers a different section of the state. So that's the plan that they're going to do. Works for me. Okay. All right, anything else? So what we'll do is, I'm going to be around. I'm playing. I may do another, I'm going to try to get Instagram work. I'm going to have to try it separately to see it works, if I can get it to go. And then we'll do that just to test it and give those folks a taste. And I'll watch the stuff here in Central Oklahoma. And if it looks like, again, anything's going to be tornadic, I'll come back on and we'll do a live and we'll track the developing tornado if that's going to be the case. But that's what I got here for you so far. So nothing too exciting, just standard stuff here for Oklahoma. But I appreciate you tuning in, and I will be back soon if conditions warrant. Or maybe I just do a couple of lives, just kind of get these kinks and these gremlins out of my stuff. All right, thanks for tuning in. We will talk again soon. Make sure you like, share the video content. Tell your friends and family. Tell them about AT's Weather. Again, my weather app, AT's Weather to Go. It is free. Apple, Google Play. You can search for my name, Aaron Tuttle, as well. It should pop up with that. Anything else I want to think of? You feel free to support, become a subscriber, either on YouTube, Facebook, all the other platforms that offer it, Rumble, etc. And because I think what I'm going to have to do here over time is I'm going to be switching to a different system than we've had for over the last few years. So you're going to want to be a subscriber for that, so that you can comment, that you can watch the content, all that kind of stuff. So things will be changing a little bit, but we'll get to that later. That's mainly for plans for 2025, I think, but I'm working on things right now. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, feel free, and we'll be talking again soon. All right, take care.